President Trump also announced a new trade deal with the UK that will reopen British markets for American companies. All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
This is what happens when you bring the first black woman into the royal family. She looked at Harry and she's like, you need to get a job.
If I'm going to succeed in America, I need a lifestyle brand of creams and supplements. Gwyneth Paltrow has Goop, Kourtney Kardashian has Poosh, and Jamie Lee Curtis has Poogert. Now I've got mine, Meg Goo, celebrating the sexy earth goddess in all of us.
I don't think anyone in the world knows that Meghan Markle has eaten Jack in the Box and loves it.
It's so funny, too, that you keep saying Meghan Markle. You know I'm Sussex now.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing.
I watched the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. Now, I'll be honest with you, before I watched it, I was not a fan of theirs. But now I've actually heard their side of the story, I f***ing hate them.
Markle, and I love it because I love more of these networks and comedy shows calling out Meghan for the B word that she is, because I genuinely believe this. Sweet. I love it. I love it. Now, yeah, because that's what she does. She's been giving the middle finger to the royal family forever. And to see Saturday Night Live, NBC, just calling it for what it is, I love it.
Meghan totally missed the memo, the message, which is that, yes, having a title is somewhat impressive in Hollywood. Not a lot of people have that, but very, 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 very few, even actors, have the level of following and the level of influence that the Kardashians.
How great was Imelda Staunton in The Crown? Wasn't she amazing? Her portrayal of the Queen was so good, Prince Harry called her for and asked her for money.
No more following Granny's rules. Don't wear your pants on your head, Harry. Don't bath on the butler, Harry. If I want to play polo in my living room, who's gonna stop me?
Stop that. And woman who married into the royal family, and, you know, they were just too, basically what she always said was too dumb for her, and that she went on and she was going to achieve these great things. No, Meghan.
That's fine, I'll go it alone, just like Meghan Markle and Prince Harry.
Sir, your millions from Netflix for no one knows what.
Put it with the rest of them.
Babe, time to do our daily $250,000 sponsored Instagram post for Del Taco.
I shouldn't have left the made-up nonsense.
How great was Imelda Staunton in The Crown? Wasn't she amazing? Her portrayal of the Queen was so good, Prince Harry called her for and asked her for money.
Hey.
Did you know it's cold in there?
Yeah.
Must be an American thing.
It's not.
Scarlett Johansson has never been the type to play it safe, but what she did on Saturday Night Live sent shockwaves through both Hollywood and royal circles. Under the bright studio lights, with millions watching, Scarlett didn't just deliver comedy, she delivered a cultural verdict. With sharp timing and brutal honesty, she aimed her jokes straight at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, and the crowd roared. What made it powerful wasn't just the humor, it was the truth behind every punchline. For years, Harry and Meghan have controlled their narrative through carefully managed interviews, documentaries, and books. But that control slipped away the moment Scarlett stepped up to the mic. What unfolded wasn't just late-night entertainment, it was a public dismantling of the Sussexes' image, exposing cracks in their brand that had been building for years. This wasn't comedy as usual. It was a turning point.
They will not bend the knee and just go along with the nonsense. That's what's so annoying about them. The most of all, they insist that you go along with their nonsense and their insanity and their fragility.
Scarlett wasted no time setting the tone. Her very first jab was ruthless. Netflix's favorite ex-royals turned full-time complainers. The audience erupted, not with polite laughter, but with full-bodied recognition. It was the kind of reaction that said, finally, someone said it. The fatigue with Harry and Meghan's endless grievances had been bubbling for years. Their interviews, their documentary, even Harry's memoir, all framed around the same victim narrative. Scarlett didn't have to exaggerate, she just pointed out the obvious. The crowd's laughter was more than amusement. It was an admission that people were tired of hearing the same story over and over again. In that moment, Scarlett cracked the polished surface Harry and Meghan had worked so hard to maintain. The Sussexes had been exposed as entertainers clinging to a script everyone had already grown bored of.
You have generously offered to keep the wax figures of Harry and Meghan safe.
Yeah, that's correct. And if I may, I would just like to say that I'm definitely not using the wax figures for sex stuff.
Scarlett's second big punchline zeroed in on Meghan herself. She could turn a royal wedding into a 3-season trauma series. The line was merciless, but the reaction told the story. Audiences no longer saw Meghan's royal wedding as a fairy tale escape. They saw it as the launchpad for an endless cycle of documentaries, podcasts, and interviews. That 2018 wedding, once hailed as a historic symbol of modern royalty, had been transformed into a backdrop for their constant retelling of how unfairly they'd been treated. Scarlett's joke worked because it reflected what millions had been whispering. The Sussexes' constant recycling of grievances no longer inspired sympathy. It inspired fatigue. And the fact that a Hollywood star could joke about it so openly without consequence showed just how far public opinion had shifted. The fairy tale had turned into reruns, and people weren't watching anymore.
Meghan Markle has finally revealed why she and Prince Harry call each other M and H.
And he'll say M and you'll say H and your friends say M and it just is a thing.
It's a thing.
And do you both love it?
Yes, and I like nicknames a lot.
What could it be? A mystery for the ages.
Scarlett didn't just keep things light, she went for the jugular. In her monologue, she called out Meghan's infamous do-it-yourself bath salt recipe, which had been featured on a Netflix series and later tied to a lawsuit after a woman reportedly suffered burns. Wellness, but make it dangerous, Scarlett smirked, delivering the line with brutal precision. The audience gasped before erupting in laughter. It was shocking, but it was also true. And that's why it hit so hard. This wasn't about tiaras or palace gossip. This was about accountability. Meghan had stepped into the role of lifestyle guru, but Scarlett turned that polished image into a liability with one joke. The fact that NBC aired it uncut, despite reported pushback from Meghan's team, only amplified the moment. For Harry and Meghan, this wasn't satire anymore. It was exposure.
What about television? Do you have a Netflix account?
Yeah, it's got about $9 million in it.
Mamalado!
For years, Harry and Meghan built their brand on control, controlling their image, controlling interviews, controlling the narrative. But Scarlett's SNL set proved that control was slipping away. Reports suggest Meghan's team had asked NBC to pre-approve any references to her, a request the network flatly ignored. That refusal was telling. Once, networks and media outlets treated Meghan and Harry with kid gloves, careful not to upset the delicate balance of royal drama and celebrity clout. But Scarlett's monologue aired without edits, without hesitation, and the result was devastating. The jokes landed, the crowd laughed, and Meghan and Harry were powerless to stop it. This moment wasn't just about one comedian poking fun, it was about the loss of an unspoken shield that had protected them for years. Comedy had stopped fearing backlash, and when that happens, it means the cultural tide has turned.
The best thing is, no more following Granny's rules. Don't wear your pants on your head, Harry. Don't barf on the butler, Harry.
The fallout in Hollywood was immediate. Talent agencies like CAA and WME reportedly passed Scarlett's clip around their offices like a litmus test. What executives saw was even more damaging than the jokes themselves. They saw the audience's reaction. There was no hesitation, no awkward chuckles, just loud, universal laughter. That reaction gave Hollywood permission to turn the page. One senior agent was blunt. If Scarlett can go there and get cheers, so can anyone else. That one line sent shivers through the Sussex camp. For years, comedians had treaded lightly, avoiding direct criticism. But now, the industry realized the public was ready, maybe even eager, for the jokes. That meant the old rules of protection were gone. The Sussexes weren't just losing influence, they were losing value. And in Hollywood, when laughter turns against you, your marketability takes the hit.
If I want to play polo in my living room, who's gonna stop me?
Stop that!
Right away, mate.
One of Scarlett's most cutting lines mocked Harry and Meghan's privileged lifestyle. Surviving in a $14 million mansion must be tough. The joke landed because it mirrored what Netflix executives had been whispering behind closed doors. The streaming giant had invested millions into the Sussexes, betting that their royal mystique would draw global audiences. But the reality? Their projects underperformed. Initial curiosity gave way to sharp drop-offs in viewership, with critics dismissing their content as self-indulgent. Scarlett's joke didn't just entertain, it crystallized the frustration of executives who'd quietly questioned whether the Sussexes were worth the price tag. Suddenly, Netflix wasn't just linked to exclusive content, it was linked to a cultural punchline. And in the ruthless world of streaming wars, no company wants to be the butt of the joke. For Netflix, Scarlett's roast wasn't just a sting, it was a warning.
Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy!
Scarlett wasn't finished. She turned her focus on Archewell, Harry and Meghan's charitable foundation, calling it a spa for egos. The line drew huge laughs because it tapped into something the public already suspected. Tax records had revealed that Archewell spent more on PR and staff than on actual charitable grants. What was meant to be their moral anchor now looked like a vanity project. Days after Scarlett's joke, Forbes ran a piece dissecting Archewell's finances, amplifying the criticism. Suddenly, the foundation that was supposed to elevate their image became another liability. By reducing Archewell to a punchline, Scarlett stripped away its glossy facade. The message was clear. The Sussex brand wasn't about impact, it was about appearances. And once the public buys into that perception, every charity announcement, every project launch gets filtered through the same lens of skepticism. Comedy had revealed the cracks. The ripple effects extended far beyond the stage. Scarlett's roast embarrassed not just Harry and Meghan, but the high-profile allies who had supported them. Beyoncé's team reportedly distanced themselves, clarifying there was no active commercial relationship. Other celebrities who once lent credibility to the Sussexes stayed silent. And in Hollywood, silence speaks volumes. No one wanted to be the last one defending a couple who'd just become comedy's favorite punchline. In an image-obsessed industry, loyalty can quickly look like complicity. By targeting Meghan and Harry so directly, Scarlett made it harder for their allies to publicly stand by them. Suddenly, defending the Sussexes wasn't a badge of solidarity. It was a liability. That shift was devastating, because in the entertainment world, when your circle shrinks, your power shrinks with it. And Scarlett had just accelerated that process with 4 minutes of brutal honesty.
They're ridiculous after that. They want it both ways. You know, you can't be, these people were so mean to us, poor us, and we don't want all this attention, and then let me write a book about how much we don't want attention.
Scarlett's monologue didn't spare Harry either. With a sly smirk, she said, "A man who trashes his family in a memoir, moves to California, enjoys every perk of life in America, but still hasn't applied for citizenship." The audience roared, but the impact reached far beyond comedy. Legal analysts jumped in, pointing out long-standing questions about Harry's visa status, tax obligations, and whether diplomatic exemptions had been quietly shielding him. What was once an abstract issue became a mainstream talking point, all because Scarlett condensed it into a cutting joke. Suddenly, Harry's position in the US wasn't just a private matter, it was public fodder. And the worst part? It was now funny. The line exposed Harry as someone who wanted benefits without responsibilities, a narrative that stings especially hard in America, where citizenship carries symbolic weight. With one punchline, Scarlett shifted the conversation. By the time Scarlett walked off stage, the damage was done. The laughter hadn't just entertained, it had delivered a cultural verdict. Harry and Meghan weren't inspirational figures anymore. They were punchlines. The backlash wasn't angry mobs or protest signs. It was the silent retreat of Hollywood allies, the canceled calls, the postponed meetings. PR experts call it the social cold shoulder, and it's often more lethal than outright criticism. Without defenders, without collaborators, the Sussex brand began to look like dead weight. Scarlett's jokes spread far beyond late-night comedy, showing up in boardrooms, strategy meetings, and media headlines. The perception was clear. Working with Harry and Meghan was risky business. And in an industry where reputation is currency, that's devastating. Scarlett hadn't just roasted them, she'd reset the balance of power, leaving the Sussexes exposed, vulnerable, and most dangerously, irrelevant. Scarlett Johansson's Saturday Night Live monologue will be remembered as more than comedy. It was a cultural reset. With just 4 minutes of sharp wit, she dismantled a brand Harry and Meghan had spent years constructing. What tabloids, critics, and even members of the royal family couldn't achieve, Scarlett did with laughter. She exposed their overplayed narratives, questioned their philanthropy, mocked their lifestyle, and turned their allies into silent bystanders. For the Sussexes, the real danger wasn't the jokes themselves. It was what those jokes revealed. The world had stopped sympathizing and started laughing. In Hollywood, perception is everything. And now, being linked with Harry and Meghan doesn't inspire prestige. It inspires eye rolls. In the end, the applause for Scarlett wasn't just for her timing, it was for the freedom to finally laugh at two people who had once been untouchable and are now punchlines.